When the world has got you down. And
Alzheimer's sucks. It's an equal opportunity disease that chips away at everything we hold dear. And to date, there's no cure. So until there is, we continue to fight with the most powerful tool in our arsenal, love. This is Love Conquers Alls, a real and really positive podcast that takes a deep dive into everything Alzheimer's, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And now, here are your hosts, Susie Singer-Carter and me, Don Priest.
Hello, everybody. I'm Susie Singer-Carter.
And I'm Don Priest, and this is Love Conquers Alls. Hello, Susan.
Hello, Donald.
How are you?
What's up? What are you doing? What's new?
Well,
Vaccination chat.
Yeah.
Talking about vaccinations?
No vaccinations yet, but you know what? I'm getting one. I'm going to be getting them, right?
I know.
We have to do it.
We have to get our vaccinations, and we have to get them. I think I just talked to our guests, and I think I'm going to lean. Not that anyone else has to do this, but I think I'm going to lean away from Johnson & Johnson only because I'm a sensitive person, and I think I'm going to get immensely ill from it. I'm
But
nervous.
that shouldn't stop you from getting it. Get it. If you can get it, get it. Get it.
No, get it,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. Like if someone knocked on my door right now and said, we have some J&J, I would go, bring
Yeah.
it. Jab me now. I would take a jab, yeah. Let me get some coffee first. Let me get my bed ready. some Tylenol. You can't take Advil.
I am so looking forward to getting sick from it so I can just lay in bed. I just cannot wait.
See, I knew that about you. For you, it's a vacation.
I may get a shot a week. I'm gonna just go for it.
I think you might need 2 or 3.
Yeah, well,
At least 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I need a vacation. It's the only way I'm going to get it. So
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I actually thought that. And here's a bit of good news.
Yes.
So I got a just mommy update. I got a letter from the Jewish home yesterday saying that the California protocol is finally in place, and that once you have your vaccination, we can have face-to-face visitations.
Wow.
Probably starting next week.
Wow.
So
you have
it's
to
been
get that
a year
vaccine
since-
and stat.
I have to get it. So it's been a year since I've actually touched my mother.
God.
And
Yeah.
she's in so much trouble. I am like getting in bed with her.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spooning her for like, she's going to go, get off me. She's going to get so lucid. She's going to call for the nurses and go, I don't know this crazy woman. Get her out of my bed.
They should probably put her in a hazmat suit before you get there. You don't not for disease, just to protect herself. You don't want to bruise her.
I am gonna. It's gonna be.
awesome.
It's gonna be like
Well, that
crazy.
is
I'm gonna need a
amazing,
cigarette after, and I don't even
awesome.
smoke. It's gonna
Well, that
be
is
crazy.
amazing,
I cannot
amazing
wait.
news.
As you all know, I'm like so sad about. It's been such a long time,
Yeah.
and I cannot wait to bring this little baby that she's been seeing on Zoom all year long, and just if that doesn't change her frame of mind and bring out a hallelujah, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So
No,
anyway,
absolutely.
but we have
That's
a
wonderful.
lovely guest.
We really do.
I just dominated the entire opening.
Yeah, I mean,
John.
I had big news, but I'm not gonna talk about it. And that was, you may or may not have noticed, but my COVID cut is gone. Yeah, it's gone. It was.
Who did it?
1 year. I waited exactly 1 year. There's somebody on this show right now who cut my hair, and it's not our guest. So, and it wasn't me. So you guess.
Because Don and I are in a bubble together, and I think literally his mullet was like
It wasn't a mullet, for God's sakes.
It wasn't. It was a bit of a mullet.
No, it was not. It really wasn't. I mean,
mullet, right?
It was an 80s vibe,
At least.
It was an 1880s.
Anyway, it's looking really good. I'm very proud of my haircut, and I think like I might have another
profession. Yeah.
Form of income.
No, but it was an 80s vibe, but it was more like an 1880s vibe. I felt more like Custer.
I'm thinking more like Mary Tyler Moore.
was nice.
It was beginning to flip.
Well, that would have
And
been
that's what was,
Marlo Thomas.
or Marlo Thomas, if anyone knows who that girl is.
Yeah, we're dating. All right.
Wow,
well,
I'm going to roll this morning.
And that said, it's time to introduce our
we have
fabulous guest.
we have such a lovely, fun guest.
We really do.
That,
We do.
you know, thank God for the internet and thank God for social media, because I'm meeting the most wonderful people, and Susanne White, like, just came out of the ethers and introduced herself to me, and I was like, thank you for introducing yourself to me, because
and now we're going to introduce her to everyone. I think
you.
I will do that. Yeah,
Take it away,
well,
Donald.
Suzanne White is the founder of Caregiver Warriors. She was blessed with the opportunity to care for her parents and ventured out on a caregiving journey that would change her life. She blogs about this journey on her website, caregiverwarrior.com, and shares her experience, strength, and hope with others so that they too may survive caregiving with grace and empowerment. And that said, let us meet the wonderful and amazing Suzanne White. Hello, Suzanne.
Yay!
Hello, guys. How are you?
Excellent.
How are you, beautiful woman?
Oh, I'm just peachy here, especially now with you guys.
Aw.
Just making my Saturday.
Oh, you're making our Saturday.
Heck yeah.
It's wonderful to have social media and this community, which is this loving, embracing, wonderful community, you know, and guys like you are doing such wonderful work. And caregivers really have help out there for free, and they can pick it up 24/7, you know, and that's why it's so great to get the word out. There's so much of it that no one prepares you for. And
Right.
And the fact that we're out here, you know, telling people, I mean, I'm sure that's why you did it, and that's why I did it. I want to help caregivers care for themselves.
And you humanize it because like I said, like the more that we talk about it from a human point of view and from a personal point of view, it resonates, you know, like when Dawn and I, when we made the movie about my mom and the girl, and I literally like was so against doing this because I thought just what we need, another Alzheimer's film. And then, you know, but then I realized that no, we have a different perspective, and it's called, you know, like, let's find the silver linings and let's embrace that, because what's the alternative, right? So
yeah, you know, and that's really interesting that you say that, because I kind of went through that too a little bit. This is funny. It's very interesting because I was thinking, oh, I can't talk about my mom like that, or I can't, you know, I mean, not so much about me, but other people. And I had the same feeling. I said, you know what, I need to be authentic and really truthful, you know, even though it's difficult, because someone's gone there, even if one person relates to that, because I'm being who I really am and talking about what really happened for me, especially in my head and my heart, that's priceless, you know, and it's going to help people.
Absolutely.
And it's very brave. It's very brave, but isn't it easy? It's easy because you know you're giving service, I think, and that's amazing.
right. But I think at first we don't. So it is even braver, because at first you don't know, and you don't, and you know, well, I wanted to talk about you more, but I want to hear your story. But the truth is that, you know, it's always, no matter what your story is, it's helpful because it will resonate with somebody. Somebody's going to say, oh my God, I was feeling the same way, you know, and because there's still stigma, and especially in a lot of cultures carry that stigma. And so it's not gone by any stretch of the means. And so that stigma keeps us isolated.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I think the resources that are out there now are so much better, and I think, you know, our voices are really helping, but there's something that caregivers do. I mean, first of all, I think we're born caregivers, right? I think we're kind of hardwired, because there's always somebody that shows up. You're going to show up, and you never quit. I mean, do you ever hear a caregiver say, oh, I'm done now?
Yeah.
We did with Susie's mom. She had a professional caregiver literally quit. Just say, I can't deal with this. This was a professional.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, God bless her, but and she's kind of rare, I think. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean,
that's someone who's paid to do it, though, Dawn.
Yes, I know.
That's someone that's not doing it because they love the person.
But
that person was like, I don't love her. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, she probably really wasn't a real caregiver at heart. I'm sure it wasn't just your mom. I'm sure that was like a career choice she shouldn't have made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
But we don't give up. So, but I think the thing that's really interesting about all of this is that, I'm a type A person. I was going to take care of it. I was going to be perfect. I was going to fix my parents, the whole thing. And you know what? I didn't take care of myself. And I see all kinds of ages of caregivers. We have young caregivers that are taking, there's like 2 million taking care of, that are under 18 years of age taking care of someone in their family. But everybody comes to it where I'm going to fix this. It's going to be okay. I don't have to worry about myself. Let me put my life on the back burner. I don't think it's ever going to go away. And if I knew why it happened and had the magic potion to give a pill to somebody and say, take care of yourself, but it's not happening. So I think that we have to keep banging this message home, that, you know how it is. I can't imagine what you went through this past year. I have nightmares thinking about what you went through this past year. I don't want to get into that too much, but such courage and commitment and love for someone we care for, and yet we look in the mirror and it's like, I'm fine.
But I think doesn't that come out of guilt? Doesn't that come out of the saying, hey, if I'm caring for myself, I'm being selfish. I'm not caring for them. And how can I do something? How can I go out and have a drink and have fun with my friends when this is happening? It feels like it's out of guilt.
I agree with you completely, and I think that's a really important point that you brought up, because somehow we say to ourselves, if I take care of me, I'm a bad caregiver. I'm a bad person. I'm failing them. Something's going to happen to them. And what is that?
My mother once, she was having a agitated moment, and she said, she was freaking out, and then she finally got lucid. And she looked at me, and it's in my film, and she says, oh, my God, you have to live your own life. You got to put me in a home. And I was like, yeah, you're going. You're going. Don't worry about that. It's happening, coming soon. But, but the point is that most of our people that love us and that we're caring for don't want us to give up our lives for them either. They want to be taken care of course, but they also, if they love you, they want you to have your life and take care of yourself. It's important.
It's very important, and it's so true. The thing that works for me, one of the things that worked for me, and then the 50 million things I would pick and choose and work, I rode horses every Sunday morning. I would steal an hour or two. I found a barn near my parents' house, and I would go ride horses. And it ended up, because the universe, I believe, helps us when we take care of ourselves, it was like 5 or 6 people who were all caregivers. So we would ride around for like an hour and just talk to each other about, oh, do you believe this happened? Do you believe? Okay. Yeah. So, and when I would get home,
crazy.
It's crazy. And when I would get home, my dad would say to me, how was it? He was so excited that I was doing that for myself. He just wanted to hear everything. And just a brief story, just to be sort of a hippie-ish and woo-woo, he was a bombardier pilot. He was a World War II bombardier hero pilot. And when I tell you, now I'm going to start to cry a little bit, that when I continued riding, at the barn, when I tell you there was always a plane that went over, a little prop plane that went over after he passed, every time I rode. And everybody would say, there's your dad. And then when my mom passed 7 weeks later, there were 2 of them.
Wow.
Stop. I know.
Okay.
Amazing. That's
so they want us to care for ourselves,
They do.
Yeah, because it's a burden on them.
Horses are good.
Yeah. If they feel like that you are miserable because of them, that's the last thing a parent wants for their child.
Nobody wants anybody to be miserable from them unless they're psycho, like my ex-husband. I mean, that's the only
Oh, he loved that.
But I digress.
Oh, that's hysterical. Yeah, I mean, they want us to be happy. And listen, using the word miserable, when I wasn't taking care of myself, or I wasn't rested, or I was freaking out about something, I was miserable. Who wants to be around that?
Right?
I mean,
I mean, that's the take your oxygen. So
And,
first,
and like you, Suzanne, I was the same way as you. I was like, I'm going to fix my mom. I told her that, don't worry, we got this. I'm going to talk you out. I was going to figure out a way to get rid of Alzheimer's because just no one's actually given it the right, attack. I was going to give it the right attack, right? And then I was still going to be my writer producer myself, and do all my projects and be a mommy. I had my teenage daughter at home with me and just gone through a divorce, and I didn't sleep at all. Literally, like I was up all night, like trying to catch up with everything, and I gained weight because I wasn't sleeping. And because if you don't sleep, you gain, all kinds of things were happening to me. And I was becoming beside myself. I was like, didn't know what to do. And I realized, I have to take care of myself.
You get burnt out. You hit caregiver burnout. I had that morning where I woke up, shaking. I mean, physically shaking that, I couldn't do this. I was messing it up. They were going to die. It wasn't going to be okay, and I was going to die. I mean, I literally hit the wall really bad.
Because you had two parents that you were caregiving for.
I had two of them. So my dad kind of hit burnout, because they were hiding it from us. My mom was diagnosed with dementia, and we didn't go into really complicated diagnoses, but I mean, she had dementia. But she had the early stages, and they were hiding it from us, my sister and I. Which they do sometimes. And, my sister lived in Florida at the time, and we would always fly them for the holidays to Florida. And then I would follow down, and then my sister called me one holiday season, and she said to me, they just took Daddy off a plane in a wheelchair. I was like, what? And, he's got walking pneumonia. He's in bed. I'm freaking out. I said, of course, I'm right down. I'll get right down because, I was going to fix everything. Anyway, we realized that especially as he was recuperating a lot and sleeping a lot, that she was confused and, repeating herself more than usual. And my dad was just gone. He was exhausted. So I said to him, Pop, do you want me to help? And he said, yes, like right away. I was like, okay. And so I just took it on, not knowing the physical and emotional toll it was taking on me that I wasn't even aware of. See, I think that's the thing about this with caregivers. There's what we're thinking is going on, and then there's what's happening and really going on. Forget who you're taking care of. You're sort of in this zone where you think it's all okay, and it's not okay. And then all of a sudden you can't get up in the morning, or you're depressed, or you're so anxious, you're shaking and can't eat, and you know what I mean? So it's almost like a silent killer.
And also when it's someone that you love, it is like what we were saying. It's so subjective because you have all this history with this person. So whether it's someone that like my mom was my best friend, but also people have, relationships that have been a bit turbulent, and yet they're put in this position to caretake, and then that also adds a whole nother element of stress. You're raising your hand. Yeah?
I'm raising my hand on that because my mom and I did not get along.
Okay.
We're probably exactly alike. I can admit that now. I'm so much like my mom, but we were oil and water. And I now know, and through the healing of taking care of her, I now know that she was probably very anxious all her life, and that this caused her to have the personality, and the anger issues she did. But it just did not work with us. And if you had told me I'd be taking care of her, like when I was in my 20s, I would tell you, you're out of your mind. So we did not get along. So there were extraordinary adjustments I had to make. She wasn't able to make them. I had to change. I had to make the adjustments. And it wasn't easy and it wasn't pretty, but, I got it that I had to be self-aware and that I had to make a lot of changes in my life and who I was and how I was acting. So
that's so important. Can I just repeat that again? Because that's so important that she's not going to change. You have to change. And that's in any situation when you're a caregiver, they're not going to change. They can't change. So you're either going to be miserable in this journey, or you can change how you see it and how you view it. and then you can embrace it, and you can, ride the waves and look for the scenery and see what you can gather, all the silver linings, because there are silver linings. I'm sure you had some that you could share, because
absolutely,
right? I'm sure that you had epiphanies like you did about your mom. You started to understand where that came from, and you became empathetic for her because she became vulnerable.
And even if you had to kind of fake it at first, which I'm sure you did, and I'm sure there's times where those resentments crept back in, whether you told yourself, I'm changing now. It's like, well, yeah, but then you're still a human being, and
yes.
those are going to creep back in, but you do have to, it actually maybe, evolves you as a human being, not only for those, but just in general in life, dealing with other people and everything. So there's a silver lining right there.
And it was the best thing, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I've done some pretty hard things. But it was the best thing I've ever done in my life, and it was life-changing for me. I mean, I healed my relationship with my mom. I mean,
see, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing,
There's
and I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
I tell, there's certain. I mean, I've spoken to caregivers who say to me, I don't know if I can show up for this because, I said, oh my God, please show up for this. You have no idea. There's a promise in this, and the promise is you are going to have peace, and you're going to make peace. And it's an extraordinary gift that's been handed to you. Please, please just show up and do it. And I've had people come back to me and go, oh my God, I'm so glad I did. And I said, see, because there's a promise in this, And I'm telling you something, I have a really hard time, which is really funny for me. I have a hard time thinking of my mom with a bad memory. Like my mom is all goodness and light and wonderful in my memory now. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, who is it? And
what a gift that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was amazing. She was an amazing, and just, I'm just going to tell you this because I know you're going to relate to this, like creatively, like I used to be a singer-songwriter and I write, and all of that is because of my mom. I never have a blank page in front of me.
Right.
I mean, it's maybe not good stuff, but I never, do you know what I mean? Because my mom encouraged me. She wanted me to sing, and she went every time I was singing. That's all my mom. But that's what I remember now, not when she was screaming and yelling at me that, I was a big dummy.
Yeah. See, isn't that beautiful? Because look I tell my daughters that too. I say, we have to look at people with kindness and understand and empathy to say, we're all humans. We don't get books on how to be daughters or books on how to be moms, and we're just trying to do the best we can. And, and if you can look at all the good things, like the good things that, sure, my mom's not a saint, but but in my mind she is, and I'm aware of her faults, but I don't think of those. I just don't. I really don't. And because I know that we're just human, and people make mistakes, and people are trying. And if you relate with love, people can only respond with love unless they're batshit crazy. Really, right. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, yes. People respond to love. That's why it's love conquers all. I mean, love is so powerful.
It's a very powerful tool, and I think that the caregiving journey, is an extraordinary source of love. Man, does it feel good when somebody, I mean, I had such a sense of peace when both of them passed. And I knew as it was happening that I'm like, you know what, and it's the other thing that I was given, that I'm a good girl. Like, I'm a good daughter,
Yeah.
Like, I'm a good girl. Like, I have faults and I do all kinds of crazy things, and I'm not easy, believe me, I know. But I'm a good girl, and I think all that love and that realization came from showing up and caregiving.
That's all we kind of want to know, is that we're being a good girl. And that's all you can be, is a good girl. That's such a beautiful way to frame it. Or a good boy. Yeah. That really is it's that simple. I remember when my mom moved in with me for the year, and I lived in this like fantastic work-live loft in LA. I was so like, I thought I was so cool. My office was there, but I've got my mom with Alzheimer's in there with me, but because my stepfather had just died, and I didn't want her to live alone in a facility, where she was having Groundhog's Day every 5 seconds. Where's Georgie, right? And so I had such a peace. I had a sense of peace. I remember leaving for a meeting, and my mom was on the balcony. It's very urban, so it's like there's valet parkers, and so it looks like you're on a studio. And my mom's there, pulling the flowers off of my flowers on the balcony because that's what her job was at that point. And she waved to me like she was so happy. She waved goodbye, and I thought at that moment I turned into mommy, and I had this sense of peace that she was happy and safe. And that's the good girl thing, right? It's like that's all you can do. You can't change the disease. I gave that up finally.
And once you've settled that as a base, if that's your base to start from, that I'm doing the best I can. B, I'm doing, for them then all the other stuff that happens, all the bad stuff that happens around it, that's shrapnel, basically. That's not, that's not the reality. That just is going to be there, but at least you have that base. And I think that's important to establish that.
See, now, Don, I have to tell you that, but now you use the word shrapnel, right? So, so my dad was shot down World War II and had shrapnel go up through his legs through the base of the plane. So shrapnel is a very interesting word in my family, and I'm sure there's people watching this that may not know what that was, but it was bombs that exploded, so it would tear up. Okay. Anyway, so I find it very interesting that you said. So I think my dad is here, because that's kind of what caregiving is like. That shrapnel, because it just attacks you and blows everything up around it. But when you do have that feeling of wow, I'm a good girl. I'm doing good here, even if it's not pretty. Mm-hmm. It's done with this intention and this empathy of making them feel safe and okay. I think I don't think I thought I was a good girl before I went into this.
Mm-hmm.
And what's more important than helping honestly, at the end of the day, if you read like Elie Wiesel's book, it's like you ask this genius man, like what is the definition of happiness? And his definition, after seeing the most unimaginable things, right, that you can think of, it was happiness came from helping, and it is so true. Like I thought, I'll be so happy when I sell 70 shows, and I'm, and I've got this and that, and yeah, of course, we want to do all that, but honestly, like going into the assisted living and singing and having all those people. All the residents go, don't go. We want 2 more songs. We're so happy you're here. I'm like Barbara Streisand to them. It's so amazing. And suddenly I'm like, it's the loveliest thing in the world. It really is. And you can't feel any better than that. You just can't. You can't.
And we're doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. So don't beat yourself up. Don't second guess yourself. Second guessing. Don't feel guilty. I mean, all the things that we're going to do, try not to. Try not to beat yourself up. Try not to feel guilty. Try not to second guess yourself. Try not to think you're a bad caregiver. You do what I mean? Like, try not to feel bad because you're exhausted. Believe me, when I first started, I wanted to do it all alone. Well, I couldn't. When I hit the wall, I got it. So, when I would start calling people. So slowly but surely, I built a team around my parents. I built a team of caregivers. I started looking online. Alzheimer's Association is amazing. I had a therapist. I mean, the people that were in certain church groups. You can't just sit there. You have to go out and look. And it's great. Social media today, for free, you can find a podcast like this one.
You have little tools that you've created, such as the Caregiver's Little Guide to Survival, 7 fail-safe tips for caregivers. What are some of those tips?
Well, I think the most important is the reaching out. Speaking up, I need help. I mean, saying I need help. I mean, I think this is probably one of the most important ones. I need help. Call someone, reach out wherever you can and say, I can't do this alone. So I think that's a really important one. I think self-awareness is a really important one. You know, you have to really be mindful of what's going on. You know, how do I feel physically? Am I tired? Am I hurting? Am I, you know, how am I angry? Am I, you know, I think being really self-aware is very, very important. And then give yourself a break. Like, you know, if you get depressed or you know, because we all get the blues, it's okay. You're not a bad person or a bad caregiver. You're human. Right. You know, give yourself a break. I mean, these are all things that, yes, you need respite.
Yeah. You can give yourself permission to
yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to get what you need. Absolutely.
What's another gem of yours, Suzanne?
I think probably just being kind to myself. I think that was hard for me anyway, you know. For some reason, kind of maybe, I don't know why, whatever reason, I have, you know, I'm so kind to everyone else. I'm not as kind to myself. So you got to be kind to yourself.
It's beautiful. I want to share this like a real quick story that when I was going through my divorce and also my mom had just was diagnosed. I just felt so overwhelmed, and I went to this. I went to a hypnotherapist who was also a writer friend of mine, and she said, you know, she was on that's what she did as well. And I had never done any of that, and I haven't done a lot of therapy. I probably should do more, but I thought, oh, this would be so great. First of all, I want her to erase all my memories of my ex, so I can get that out of my head, because that's just a lot of pollution right now. And I just wanted to feel better like that, right? So I went to her, and she's starting to hypnotize me, and I'm literally sitting back in this chair going, yeah, I'm not even close to it. Like, I need to get to Nordstrom's has a sale. I have a deadline on a submission I have to get in. Like, I can't think of any like trees and flowers, and I'm not going there. And I finally said, I'm not hypnotized, right? So she said, okay, I get it. Let's try another approach. And she said, listen, this is about you today. This is not about your mom. This is not about your ex. This is about, we're concentrating on you. And I want you to think about, let's just think about when you were a little girl. What's like your favorite time when you were a little girl? Like, think of it. And you said, you got it? I said, I got it. All right, so how old is she? Well, she's 5 years old. And what is she wearing right now? Well, she's wearing a striped polo shirt, and she's got her hair up in a curly blonde hair in a ponytail, and she's playing with her best friend, Michael. That's me, playing with my best friend, Michael. And what's happening? And you know, let's say, did you ever get in a fight with Michael? Yeah, I did, of course. And what would happen? I'd say, you're not being nice, and I'm going home. Bye. And I would go home. And she goes, and you were fine, right? You had no guilt about it because it wasn't a good situation for you, right? And I said, exactly. And she goes, but you're not doing that now. And guess what? And no, she goes, do you love that little girl? And I go, I do love that little girl. And she goes, well, guess what? You're letting her down. And that's how it was so powerful for me to look at myself.
That's
powerful, right? Because I always had trouble saying, oh, I love myself, or, you know, how much do you love? I couldn't say it. I felt like it was silly and conceited or weird or whatever. But when she framed it as me as a little girl, I could step back and say, yes, I get that little girl. I get who she was. And I remember her being this pistol and like, you're not nice to me, then I'm going home. This doesn't feel good. I need to sleep. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. And you're letting her down was so powerful. So you can't let yourself down.
I love this. Stop letting yourself down.
Show up for yourself too.
Respect yourself.
That's not
you
selfish.
matter too.
Respect yourself.
It's not selfish. It's important. Yeah. Otherwise, why are you here? Right? Why are you here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a great story, because it really is true. See, and as children, we have that, I'm out of here. It's okay. I don't want to do that. And then life kind of takes over and we learn these things. So often they're not positive, good things. And we're compensating and we're doing all this stuff. And I think that when we're confronted with a situation like this, we beat ourselves up for beating ourselves up. And it's just so silly. But we have to be aware of it because I think we all do it.
And it builds on itself. It builds on itself.
It does.
Yeah.
And you just have to remember that you are that little girl.
Yeah, you have to break that cycle.
See, I love what you said, Suzanne, because when you're a good girl, you have to say what is a good girl, and if you are being a good girl, why would you want to punish that little girl, right? So you want to reward her for being a good girl or him for being a good boy, and that's okay, and it's not. No, it's more than okay. It's required.
More than okay.
You have to give yourself a lollipop. Required. Give yourself a lollipop from time to time. It's okay.
Wow, we're like a metaphor. We're like a metaphor city here. But
it's working, and it's clear.
Good, yeah.
It's working, and it's clear. And this is the kind of conversation that people need to hear because we all relate to it. I always say that. We're all of us caregivers are on the same journey, but we have different paths. Do you know what I mean? Like so much in life, I think we're all on the same journey. We're taking different routes and everything, but this is the kind of conversation that people can relate to. They can sit home and just go, "Oh my God, that I feel that today." It's like and there's a sense of relief when you say, "Hey, I'm doing the best I can. What do I need today?"
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And also just trying to frame things in a way that you can see the positive. It's like, if I say my mom's had Alzheimer's now for 15 years, somebody that hasn't been through this might go, "Oh my God, torture, poor her. Wow." Not me. I wouldn't be, I'd be gone. No way. Hope that doesn't happen to me. But guess what? My mom and I used to, say we just very funny about death, and we'd say you were never dying. That's it. And if anything happens, we're jumping in together, and that's the way it goes, right? And so, the thought of my mom passing away, and then I lost my father in a plane crash when I was 16, and he was really young, and I was like, I survived that, but I'm not going to survive my mom leaving. That's just not going to happen. And I now look at this disease, this length of the disease, as a gift, as a long rampway for me to come to terms with what I need to come to terms with as an adult human being, as a human, as a daughter, as a mother of myself. So, I say thank you, Mom, for giving me this gift of allowing me to figure out how I'm going to deal with this. Because my mom, she's always said, she goes, "I've had a great life. I've done everything. I've eaten, I've loved, I've had affairs, I've this, that, I've bought, I've shopped, I've seen, I've traveled. There's nothing I've missed." And so I got all those gifts to know that she's okay. It's like when we worked with Valerie Harper, that's why she was so, that was a gift for her to play my mother, because here's this woman who had been given a death sentence 8 years before, and said, "Everyone dies. I'm not going to go to my funeral before
it's time.
Before I have to." But she said the same thing my mother said. She said to me, "Susie, I've done it. I've had a fantastic life. I don't want to go, but when I go,
it'll be okay.
It's fine. It's fine. It's okay." Yeah. What a gift.
It is a gift, and it's an extraordinary sense of peace. And, I think my dad had it. I don't think my mom did. I think my mom was very afraid, but my dad definitely had that. And I think and I think you guys will agree with me, I think caregivers have it. In the long run, I think we can say, wow, we did what we could in life. We did the best we could, and we gave service to someone else, and we cared for them, and we're good people. And I think, I have peace because I did what I came here to do. and I think that's extraordinary that your mom can say that, and I what a gift that is, and my dad too. My dad, right before he passed, first of all, he told my sister the night before, I think I'm checking out. So that was the night before, and then he was like died in his sleep with a smile on his face. But a a day before that, he said to me, "Oh," I said, "Daddy, I'm so sorry. You don't feel, He said, "Oh, I'm spectacular." He said, "I'm at peace with God, and everything's great." And this is so. I thought, oh, okay. So it's wonderful that they can say that.
That's their gift to you,
Don. I was thinking about Esther, what she said at the hospital.
Yeah.
I got to tell you this story. A friend of ours' mother just passed away, was very much. She reminded me of my mom so much. She just was such a pistol, and literally. How old was Esther? 87?
She was somewhere in that, I don't know her exact age, but right in that mid-80s.
But she was right in that, and we just had a memorial on Zoom for her, and there was how many people?
150, over 150 people, yeah.
And for someone at 87 years old, that's a huge, and of all ages, that's how powerful she was. And her husband told her, was it her husband or did her son tell that story?
There were many stories.
Howard. The one about when they finally took, when she's, okay, I'll tell you. It was either her husband or her son, but I forget. But so it was right before she passed away, they took her off all the medication and they just said, listen, it's time. And the doctors told her it would take about an hour. This is what they told her. And 2 hours later, 3 hours later, the doctor comes in and she goes, what the fuck is going on? You told me it was going.
When am I going to die already?
When am I going to die? It's 3 hours. What the fuck is going on? Excuse my language. I'm just telling this. But that's what she said. And I was like, I love her to the second she passed. To the second she passed. How can you not love that? Ready to go.
Oh,
get the show on the road.
And a sense of humor too, you know what I mean? That's why she was so dynamic. We didn't even talk about that, and you guys all know about that because you're both really funny and and witty and.
It's like if you look at Carrie, and it's kind of like looking back at the Alzheimer's films that we said, oh, let's not do another one because they're all so bleak and dim and hard. And yes, all of that is true. But damn it, you better find some humor in there. You better. You've got to.
And there's so much humor to be found. You people are afraid to laugh at it. No, it's funny. It's funny.
There's
my mom was
stuff.
the filters drop down, the filters drop, and my mom would look at somebody and go, wow, that's an ass on that woman. I'm like, Mom, they can hear you. What? It's true.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. And my mom was the same way. We would go out to dinner, and I don't like this restaurant. Oh my God, the food. I'm like, oh my, and it took me a minute. It took me a minute to not just because of who I am and the way I was brought up. Here's this woman who everything had to be perfect. Appearances always had to be perfect. And I couldn't worry about what anybody in the restaurant thought.
Exactly.
That's your thing. That's your embarrassment, and that's
That's the gift. I tell the story how when my mom initially I thought I was protecting her because I thought that she would be embarrassed, right? And I thought that people were going to be just put off, and it was it really was my journey to figure out that no, it was me, and that other people, good people, stepped up. And we're I would say, my mom has Alzheimer's. Oh yeah, but she's fantastic. They didn't care. They didn't care. They got it.
Yeah,
the people there are so many good people out there. It's.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Because that's my dad believed. There's so many good people out there.
It's humbling. It's humbling.
It is humbling.
Yeah, and it's it's such a gift because I'm such a better person because of my mother's illness, and everyone around me is. Dawn is, and my children are, and anybody else that's gone through this journey with me. We're just so much better people than we were before, and I'm proud of that. Even my son-in-law, I remember the first time he came to visit my mom. Don, you were there, right? Mm-hmm. And we were at one of the facilities, and I would walk in and it was like I would hold court because I loved all those people. I got to know them, right? 94-year-old Jack, who was going to marry me, had Ruth who was a dancer, and then Lisa, who always thought I was her Swedish daughter. There was all kinds of people there that I loved. And one gentleman came up to my son-in-law, and this experience was so new to him, and he started to, just release everything. I want to go home. I want to do this. Can you take me home? Can you get, and I didn't realize how daunting it could be for someone who's not been in this, and that's because of our system. We isolate our senior citizens. And I looked over at my son-in-law and he was like, I need to step outside for a second. He went out and cried because he was he didn't know how to respond, and he was so empathetic, and that he didn't understand that,
it's part of it. It's just part
you can
of
listen.
Yeah.
It's just part of it, and that you can listen, but you don't have to take it on. And now he's a pro. He walks in, how you doing? I want a kiss. Look at me. I'm here for you. Whatever, he's strong as a
That's
strong
important.
As a bull.
Yeah. And it also brings up something you just said, and that's listening. And I know, Suzanne, you've written about learning to listen to people with dementia, which is so important. So you understand maybe some cues or things that aren't the words, but tell us a little bit about that. Right.
Well, I just want to go back to what Susie just said. It's like you can listen, but you don't have to take it on. That's a gem right there. That should be I'm going to probably use that in my weapon of the day. If you don't mind, I'll give you credit, Susie, because you can listen, but you don't have to take it on. Well, it's on us to sort of interpret, to act as interpreters. I took my mom to a spaghetti dinner at the church, which was like I took both of them, and there was like dueling wheelchairs. I had two. I mean, it was just, so it was taking, I had to set it up and get the food, and anybody who's listening knows what I was going through. Okay. So I just sat my butt down with this, and I turned around, looked at my mom, and she had this, see, and it's good. You have to keep the union. She had this look of absolute terror on her face. I mean, it was beaming off her. And we're, hi, Mommy, are you okay? And what do you mean? And I said, Mommy, do you want to go? You want to go? And she went, and nodded her head and said, yes. I was like, okay. And bam, then I had to pack everybody up to tell her, you know what I mean? But that was a cue. That was a cue for me. It wasn't just it was a cue. She became overwhelmed.
We'll have like these moments that are very lucid when you're talking about looking for cues, communication cues, and I'm really into that, like, because she doesn't have a lot of verbal agility at this time, but things do come out. Like if you wait long enough, she'll say something like, "I love you," just come right out because you're giving her time to do it. But every once in a while, something will come out like, "Shut up," nowhere, and like it's literally still like, and it could be something else. It could be a nurse in the other room is talking too loud, but I still have trouble with it, not taking it personal.
Right. Yes. Because
you put so much of your heart and soul into caregiving, and those little things, just I love you is so important, and then so you can imagine the opposite and how that can affect you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can take a breath and go, it's not about me, but it takes a second.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the whole thing is, it's a work in progress, progress, not perfection. It's all those sayings that, one of the reasons I'm able to, because I'm reflecting back now, what I'm saying? So, I've had hindsight on a lot of this stuff, but when you're in it, we all try really, really hard, but I keep saying it wasn't pretty. I mean, in my heart, I know I did the best I could, but man, there were nights where I was just like, oh my gosh, well, you screwed that up today, and then I have to say, no, I didn't screw it up. but make a note of that and try to be better around that issue tomorrow, and if you can't, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this whole thing of just giving ourselves a break, I think, because it's all the shrapnel coming at you, so, some of it we can deflect like Wonder Woman and Superman, and some of it we can't. Some of it, hits us, and we react instead of respond.
So, I'm curious because what you've created, caregiverwarrior.com, and all this information and everything that you're still doing long after you had this experience. So when did that was this almost therapeutic for you? When did you start doing it, and why do you keep doing it?
Okay, first of all, just my personality is like, nobody tells you about this. Well, that's not cool. I'll tell you. It's my personality. But I started writing. I was writing on my BlackBerry. Just, you know what I mean? I was, and when I would go to work, I would write on my BlackBerry. And actually I'm still working on editing a book, but there was a book in there. So that would help me, it helped me kind of put it in perspective. And I really did want to help other people. I didn't want other people to go through what I went through or that I saw other people going through. And of course, and you guys will know this, there are times that I feel like I can't do it. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, this is so much work. Right? I mean, social media alone. Oh my God. I mean, it's like, and I'm good with it. I'm like, and I'll think, you know what? I'm done. I mean, and I will tell you every single time I do that, I'll get a tweet or a DM or an email or something, and somebody will say something like, my mom just died, and I just have to reach out and tell you that if it weren't for you, I would have never been able to get through the past year.
Yeah.
And I don't even know them.
Right.
I mean, right. I don't even know this, you know what I mean? And I get like, oh, okay. I just feel like it's like, okay, I get it. I got to keep going.
It's the same with us. It's like I say, we're 34 episodes in a little over a year, and
oh my God,
this is all a labor of love, folks. Like, we don't get any money. It's not. I haven't gone out monetizing. I have no idea how to monetize a podcast. And if there, if anybody wants to support us, please do. It's great. We'd love it. But it's and I say, am I helping? Is it helping? Are we helping? And then all of a sudden we'll get like you said, out of the ether going, thank you so much for your podcast. We love it so much. Or, people saying, we'd love to be a guest on your podcast. Is there, and I go, okay, we have to keep going. So we have to keep going is what it is. And it's okay.
Yes, we have to keep going. And we will keep going. You know what I mean? And you were helping. We're helping. You're changing. I believe like you can smile at somebody and save their life anyway. But I mean, there are people out there that are listening. Just because they're silent, because caregivers are silent, it doesn't mean they're not listening. And believe me, they're hearing you guys. So we have to keep going.
Like
we have to keep going.
It's one person. Let's say one person's life you changed. I mean, and we've talked about that when we were doing the film festival circuit. We were in Sedona, and we had just played our movie before 800 people, and we were up on stage with Valerie, and we're doing a Q&A with, and some of the comments we got, this one woman said, my brother has had Alzheimer's, my father did, and I'm just, I've lived in fear that I'm the next, and she says, you know what, I'm not afraid anymore.
Wow.
So it was like, wow. And we didn't know these people. People came up to us, don't know, a guy in Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland before. He comes up and just hugs me after, and hugs Susie after.
And cries. And
now in contact with him ever since, because his dad went through the same thing.
We get most beautiful letters. And I had teenage people come up and say, you told my grandma's story, and crying, and, and realized what we say a mitzvah. It's like a good deed to do, something like that. And that, my mom always, I love this about my mother, was that my mom is 5 foot tall, and listen, she has more game with men than I ever did, even now. Right now,
From her bed.
even in a wheelchair with Alzheimer's, from her bed, my mom could go, hey, you. She could still pull it. But my mom, not a jealous bone in her body. And we'd be walking somewhere, and a gorgeous woman would walk by, and my mom would stop and go, hello, you are stunning, stunning. And the woman was like, thank you. Like, because most women don't compliment other women, and women, you know, that changed the woman's day, I'm sure, and felt like $1 million. Yeah. And the same, like, even with nurses, my mom would, like, there'd be a sourpuss nurse who was doing her, you know, her blood pressure, and my mom would be looking up at her and saying, do you know, you have gorgeous skin. Did you? And the woman would beam, go, oh, thank you so much. You know, I would, and it's such a gift to be able to be that open and just change somebody's life with one thing. And it all comes from being authentic. If you're authentic, because my mom wasn't doing it as a device. It was always authentic. And so I think that's important, and that when we're being authentic, it is powerful. And I think that's
what's, you know, from what you're doing, it all comes from authenticity. It comes from, it comes from experience. It comes from your heart. And so, you know, you cannot deny that it's going to have an effect as long as somebody sees it. And so that's a wonderful thing.
My God, we could talk to you all day, Suzanne.
I know. This is wonderful.
We have to be friends.
We are friends.
I mean, we are friends. We are. I call it, we're Alzheimer's. We're daughters of Alzheimer's and sons of Alzheimer's. And is there anything that we missed talking about that you wanted to bring up? Anything?
No, I think we have these wonderful gems. You know, I just think I just want everybody to take care of themselves. You know, I just want everybody to know that they're really good people. You know, that they're safe, it's okay, and they're a good person, you know, and really take care of yourself, because everybody will benefit. And I want to thank you guys for doing what you do. And
thank you.
Just got to keep the faith.
Where can we find you? Where can everybody find you? We'll put all up anyway, but what's the best way?
Thank you. Come to my website, caregiverwarrior.com. And, you know, I'm always posting something up, a little thought for the day, or, you know, a blog. You can see me on Twitter. I do a weapon of the day. It's Caregive Warrior, at Caregive Warrior, no R for Twitter. And I always do a weapon of the day, you know, just sort of something you can take into battle.
Yes, and you review books. I see that
I do.
Book. I love that because there's so many out there, and not all of them are great. So it's important, you know, we only have so much time, so that's also a really good thing. You know,
thank you. Yeah, that was a fun thing, because I love to read, and people would send me stuff. I say, sure, you know, absolutely. Just be open. Just say yes. You know. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You are a pleasure, and I'm so honored to meet you and be your friend.
Same back at you. This is a mutual love fest.
I'm sure people are just nauseated at this point, you know.
Yeah, they're
Hey, I think there were some bullet point gems in there, you know. I think that anybody who's listening gets it, that they're not alone. You know, that's the bottom line of it. They have us. They're not alone. And man, that's not alone. We're not alone.
And if you need anything, honestly, I always say, like, you know where to reach us. If we don't know, we'll find out, right? Because that's the beauty of this. There's always we have resources, and if you know, you will have help. I promise. Absolutely. And with that said, I think everybody who is listening and maybe watching on YouTube and IGTV and Donald.
Yes, well, again, thank you, Susie. Thank you, Susanne White. And wait, I said that wrong. I said, wait, I'm going to say Suzanne. It's very confusing. Yes. I've got Susan, who I call Susie, and then we've got Suzanne, who I'm not going to call Susan anymore.
Well, it's because her Suzanne is not spelled with a Z, it's spelled with an S. S-U-S-A-N-N-E.
So I'll just call you Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Perfect. It works.
And on that note, we say, as we always do, love is powerful, love is contagious, and love conquers all. We'll see you next time.